Welcome to the University of Wisconsin-Madison's iSchool LIS 855 Community Archives. We're excited to start this journey with you as we explore the vital role of community archives in preserving local history, culture, and identity. Through readings, discussions, and a hands-on community archives building project, we'll delve into the principles and practices that enable and empower communities to document and celebrate their unique narratives. Welcome to the week 1 lecture of this course. Each week, you can expect a lecture similar to this one. This week's lecture will cover introductions, a brief review of the syllabus and class expectations, along with an overview of the community archiving final project, defining what a community archive is, discussing a community archive's defining features, and a review of this week's assignment. I'm Erin Hughes, the Digital and Community Outreach Archivist at WILS, or the Wisconsin Library Services. In this role, I collaborate closely with cultural workers from Wisconsin's Native nations, assist in facilitating the Culture Keepers Collective, and contribute to the Mukurtu Project. My expertise focuses on community archiving and inclusive archival practices, supported by my background in collection management, preventative conservation, and exhibit planning. I hold a master's degree in Library and Information Studies from the UW-Madison iSchool, bringing extensive knowledge of archival theory, digital preservation, and community engagement initiatives. I'm passionate about fostering dialogue and collaboration, striving to create spaces where underrepresented voices can be heard and celebrated. I look forward to sharing my experiences with you and learning from your insights. Also teaching this course is Kristen Whitson, who is my colleague at WILS and another iSchool alum. Kristen is the digital specialist and consortium manager at WILS, and she works primarily with local history organizations, digitization projects, and she assists with the Culture Keepers Collective project, which is WILS's work with Wisconsin's Native nations. Kristen has also spent time working with LGBTQ community archives and is the co-author of a book on Wisconsin's LGBTQ history written for a teen audience. Her work in various community archives has created a strong interest in helping people and communities record and share their own histories in whatever ways work best for them. She spent the last 7 years participating in, learning from, and contributing to community archives, so she's excited to share those experiences with you all. We are both delighted to be here and appreciate your interest in community archives. Each week, there will be a brief lecture designed to guide you through the week's content. We've also included readings that serve as excellent resources, so please make sure to engage with them. These are readings we often encounter and reference in our daily work with community archive groups. Participation in the weekly discussions is crucial, especially in our virtual format, as this is our primary space for conversation without a physical classroom. Each week, we'll ask you to post in the discussion, as well as respond substantively to at least one classmate's post. Additionally, each week we will feature an assignment focused on planning your own community archive. This community archive can be real or hypothetical. The important thing is that it gives you the chance to work through important questions about community archiving work. Your assignments each week will build and refine on previous assignments, culminating in a final project report describing your community archive project. The syllabus contains a wealth of information. Please review it before asking questions about assignments and tasks, as it may provide the answers you seek. But if you don't find those answers, feel free to reach out to us for help. You can expect to dedicate about 9 hours each week to this course. This week, we will focus on understanding what a community archive is. In the past couple of decades, there has been a rapid growth of community archives, diverging from traditional archival practices. The concept of community archives first gained traction in the UK. Andrew Flynn, along with Mary Stevens and Elizabeth Shepherd, stated in 2009 that a community is any group of people who come together and present themselves as such, and a community archive is a product of their attempts to document the history of their commonality. A defining feature of community archives is the active involvement of the community in documenting and making accessible their history on their terms. The phrase "on their own terms" is emphasized in your readings, as it is a critical aspect of community archives. While this definition is a solid foundation, it omits an essential element that we will explore throughout the course: issues of power, control, inequities, and authority. Local history centers can also be considered community archives, but they often serve dominant communities and adhere to traditional collecting practices that may be rooted in white supremacy and colonialism. Our focus will be on community archives that represent and serve marginalized and suppressed communities. These are often referred to as minoritized, identity-based community archives, where the shared identity is one of minoritized status. You'll find in this week's readings and in future readings that Michelle Caswell is a leading voice in defining, studying, and advocating for community archives. She and her collaborators have defined a couple of important foundational concepts to add to the definitions of a community archive. In To Be Able to Imagine Otherwise, Community Archives and the Importance of Representation, Caswell says that the rise of community memory keeping has arisen from what she calls symbolic annihilation. This idea that institutional archives, like the historical societies and academic archives we'd call traditional institutions, are systemically excluding marginalized groups and voices from their collections. There has been a lot of awareness and efforts around this exclusion in the past several years, but it's a systemic exclusion, so it's quite pervasive. In response, Caswell says community archives, the types of community memory keeping efforts we're going to be discussing for the next 5 weeks, offer a sense of representational belonging to marginalized people and groups. To see oneself in the historical record can be incredibly powerful, especially when that representation is full, meaningful, and positive. That representational belonging, that antidote to exclusion, is what community archives make possible in a variety of ways. You'll read a lot more about this in the 2 Caswell articles this week. In the Week 1 content, you'll also find excellent examples that illustrate key concepts in community archives. Here are some defining features to consider. Autonomy. Community archives empower communities to make decisions regarding what to keep, preserve, digitize, and how to provide access. This autonomy ensures that the materials reflect the community's values and priorities, allowing them to shape their own narratives. Participation. Participation is a crucial aspect of community archives. Unlike traditional archival practices, decisions are often made not by trained archivists, but by community members themselves. This may include volunteers, board members, and advisors who bring diverse perspectives and insights. Shared stewardship is a collaborative approach to managing collections. Decisions about what to preserve and how to manage collections are made collectively and reflect the needs and desires of the community rather than a single authority. Relationality. Community archives are inherently relational. The care and management of materials will shift over time as community needs evolve. This flexibility allows archives to respond to changing contexts and priorities. Activism. Community archives embrace their political potential. By documenting and preserving underrepresented voices and histories, they become sites of activism. Now it's time to dive into your assignments and explore what defines a community archive. You will read works by prominent figures in the field, including Andrew Flynn and Michelle Caswell. We'll also introduce you to the Community Archives Toolkit, an invaluable resource for this course. Additionally, we've gathered various examples of community archives for you to explore. Take some time to delve into these sites and their collections. After completing the readings, please join us and your classmates on the discussion board. We've provided prompts to spark your thinking, but feel free to share your questions and thoughts about the materials, even if they go beyond the prompts. Finally, you will begin drafting your community archive project plan. This will be a 500-word document outlining your initial vision for a community archive you'd like to help create, including its purpose and considerations for scope and sustainability. More details on what to include can be found in the Community Archive Project Plan under Week 1. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. See you on Canvas.